It did make me feel good, even though I was not attracted to this guy. Just that, he thought at least I was worthy of talking to.
Yeah, but Peter, did you hear that? She was not attracted to him, so don't worry about it.
I mean, the guy wasn't Tom Cruise or anything. It's not.
Tom Cruise is too short for you.
Welcome to Three Lil Fishes. We're three sisters who grew up in the Midwest together, but have since spread across the country. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm in Nashville.
And I live in Philadelphia. We are all married with children, have all had careers, but now we stay at home with our families.
Join us as we share secrets and stories about being women, wives, and mothers.
We welcome you to laugh along, learn something new, reach out, and join our conversation.
So let's jump in.
What's up, fishes?
Hi, girls.
How's everybody?
I'm excited because today we are talking about that we've been doing this podcast for a year, you all. Mm-hmm. Can you believe it? We're a year old.
Happy birthday, fishes.
Yeah, it's our 52nd podcast today.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that is, a big number. So
it is a big number, and we are learning and growing, and I am proud of us because we have really done this every week. We've been consistent, and we keep showing up, hitting the record button, and just throwing it out to the world.
Showing up,
bare minimum.
Yeah. But I brought a little champagne, and I just want to give a little toast to you all. Thank you for showing up and doing this podcast with Three Lil Fishes, and hopefully we're continuing to grow and having other fishes join us and jumping into our conversation. So cheers for showing up and jumping in, and here's to another year.
Cheers, fishes.
Here's to another in.
So you all, it got me reflecting, right? That we've been doing this for a year.
Yeah.
Lots of people are doing podcasts. What made us sisters decide to do this podcast? I think I'm guilty of it. I think I started the ball rolling. And as I was reflecting about it, I think my reasoning for doing it hasn't changed. I personally love to listen to podcasts. I love to hear other people talking, particularly like celebrities and who was I? Like Kate Hudson, and even Molly Sims now is doing a podcast. Like all these great people who have some really fun things to say, and they're glamorous. But what makes them different than us is we might be all having kind of the same experiences, but not in the same way. Like Kate Hudson, when I brought this to you, the example I gave to you, she was talking about her son was trying to get into college and how terribly hard it was and how stressful it was. And she was wringing her hands like, I hope he gets in. And I believe that that's a real thing. And she's having those emotions and she's throwing that out in the world. But Kate Hudson, getting her child into college and paying for college is definitely not the same experience that I'm going to have as I'm starting to think about getting my son ready for college, trying to get him in, helping him find resources to pay for it. It's just not the same. So I think that I'm looking for a community. There are people more like me, like the everyday person. Like, what are resources you're doing? Or how are you doing it? What tools are you using to be able to navigate this tricky world?
Well, I remember when you came, you mentioned it when we were in Florida, when we were in the pool. And you're like, will you do this podcast? I really started thinking about why I wanted to do it. And I wrote down a few notes, which I actually got out and looked at them again. It kind of is the same reason why I still feel today, why I'm still doing it, is I wanted to feel more connected. And I think people need to talk to people because people get lonely if they just stay in their homes and they don't connect and interact with people. And it's good therapy to talk to people. So I enjoy talking to your girls. Mm-hmm. And now we do it almost every day, which I love.
I know. I love that too. That's a bonus, right? That's a bonus for us, like a guilty bonus, guilty pleasure.
I mean,
yeah.
It's a lot of chatting.
Yeah. We talk
Not a
a
lot
lot.
Not a lot of doing.
It's a lot of chats. So,
But it's like if we can share our experiences with other people, and maybe if it resonates with one person, I think that's a win. So that's why
Mhm.
I keep doing it.
I agree. I feel like, I'm a big fan of female friendships. I think they're super important in our lives. And I think, COVID in particular really showcased how important people are in your life and being able to be sounding boards for one another and share ideas. And I think, it's been great to be able to just, where are you in your life? What are you experiencing? What's happening? We may not have the answer, but we're in it with everybody and we're doing it. And sometimes it's pretty and sometimes it's not. And sometimes we have an answer and sometimes we don't. And it's just life. So I hope our listeners feel a little bit connected to us, and I hope they're having fun with us because we're having fun with them. And it's enjoyable. I will say it's harder than I thought it was going to be. It's hard to kind of articulate sort of where you are in your day or your week or your month or your time of life. Like, I've sent kids off to school. I finished school. We've done these like high end sport, like, husband gets on my nerves sometimes. The yard, the dogs, I've lost dogs, I've gained animals, just all of the minutia of life, it gets tangled up together. And to try and articulate that sometimes I find to be a little bit of more effort than I thought it was going to be. So I hope that we're getting better at it. And I hope that people can listen to us and be like, I totally get that, or you
Yeah.
people are doing it wrong. This is what I think you should do. So I want our listeners to just really feel like we're one of your sisters and you can engage with us at any time about anything. So I think we talked about maybe popping up like an Ask the Sisters sometime soon, and people can kind of ask us questions
Yeah.
that maybe they have. But yeah, it's been it's been a fun year. It's been, like I said, more work than I kind of thought it was going to be. I don't know what I was thinking, but
I think it's difficult to be vulnerable, right? Because
yes,
it's like, it's
yes,
like to know that you have this microphone in front of you and
yeah,
it's just not the three of us talking, but we're throwing it out to everybody and, talking about kids or like sex or, husbands and friends. Like sometimes there's growing pains even with friends when you're in, later in life, which you don't
hmm,
totally expect. So I think I'm always worried, am I going to offend somebody? But I also want to be real. And I think I trip over that. So I think just trying to be authentic and real. And because life is messy and it doesn't always fit nicely in this little box. And I think part of why I want to do this too is like I look on Instagram or Facebook all the time and you see all these pretty pictures and all these stories about people doing these amazing things, which they are, which is so great. But if I'm not doing all those things or if I don't feel that pretty in my life, am I failing? I don't think that's true either, right? Like it's
right,
all about messy and where we color outside the box all the time. And we have to embrace that too, because
yeah,
that's how we get to the pretty package, right? Like it has to get messy sometimes.
yeah,
Right. There's also the technical aspect of this whole thing, making us
yes,
all three come together is harder
yes,
than it seems. And
yes,
we have a very good producer, Tim, that's very patient with us. So
very
thank you, Tim,
patient. God
because
bless
there
Tim.
are, there are times we're like, can't hear you. What? Like, I mean, this
Yes,
could go on for hours. So
yes,
we've
Yes.
had a lot of growing pains that way.
we
The
have.
Yes.
other thing I was going to tell you that I came across in my notes was all the trouble we had even just naming our podcast with the
Hmm.
Yeah.
names. I have like pages of just names that we came up with. Like one of them
Hmm.
was Triple Talk, which I totally forgot about. And
Triple
I
talk.
I forgot
I
about
thought
that.
that actually was kind of cool.
Yeah, it took us a long time to name. And I love our name, but I do think it's kind of sometimes hard to remember for people, like three
Yeah.
what.
Well, because it's
So
meaningful to us, the fishes
it
meaning
is. It's
is
a very
meaningful to us.
meaningful name for us, and hopefully people will start to really remember it, but it is tricky. I mean, that was very hard too. Everything. And
Yeah.
we don't have staff. Like, no one's writing, nobody's, we have an editor and a producer, but he just takes
Right.
all the nonsense that we spew, which could be an hour worth, and we try to like make it 20 to 30 minutes a show. I mean, our poor producer listens to so much nonsense.
Yeah.
We apologize and love you, Tim. Thank you for everything.
Yes.
So
Thank
anyway,
you.
it's been harder. It's harder than it seems. And I hope, everybody sticks it out with us because we're trying to get better every week.
And I think
Yeah.
looking ahead, I think we continue to want to be more authentic. We want to share more ideas. We want to expand our listening base. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we also want to get some guests on
Yeah.
um, and have some new topics that way of talking about certain things. Like, I think maybe coming up, we're going to be talking to a guest who has ideas if your kids are getting ready to leave the nest, some ideas for you and how to kind of wrap your head around that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we would like to try to do more things and be more creative as we move forward, as we try to get our footing of actually how to do it. And hopefully you guys will continue to enjoy the ride
Yeah.
with us and continue to invite your fishes, School of Fishes, to jump in and join our conversation as well. And
Mm-hmm.
some also interesting thing, if you're interested and you want to support the Three Little Fishes, we have some merchandise, and Linda was a part of getting some merchandise. And today, if you see the pod, you'll see that all three of us are wearing a sweatshirt with Three Little Fishes logo, and I'm wearing a hat.
Mm-hmm. So we're starting to build out a part of our website that you can go and purchase a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a hat. More things will come, more designs will come. But if you look at Three Little Fishes, it's all spelled out.com, you'll see shop and you can hit that tab and it'll direct you to the merchandise site. You can, order directly from there. So enjoy. We hope you enjoy it. Yep.
So let's move on. And I wanted to just spring something on you girls. I just got done watching the White Lotus
Mm-hmm.
episode, the newest one for this week. So if you haven't watched it, you
I
might
have
want to
not
pause
watched
it.
it.
But did you
Mm-hmm.
all watch
I
the
watched
latest
it.
episode?
Mm-hmm. I did. Yep.
I am struggling so hard with moving forward with it on a couple of levels, with like kind of the incest level. And then also I'm struggling with the writing with the three women that are friends.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling with what they're doing with these friendships. And are they really best friends? Or are they just people that have known each other for a while? Linda, what are your thoughts? Because I know you're up to date.
I am up to date. So I feel like when I first started watching the show this season, I loved the women. The backstory is they're these three women that kind of grew up together. They're now probably in their early 50s and they've all been career women. They've stayed very closely tied to each other on some level, and they're on holiday together. And it's just the normal stuff, the banter back and forth, the vacation, getting into that mode. They live in different parts of the country. They know each other super well, so they can kind of razz each other and have fun with each other. But as this holiday is going on, there is like this dark underbelly of this friendship and these different women and the places that they are in their lives. And I just feel like it's a little cliche that the writers couldn't be more creative. So some of the women are kind of going off the rails. There was like a little bit of a cheating element to it. Not a little bit. There was a cheating element. There was like, why is that the portrayal of these female friendships? I feel like it's very lazy of the writers. They could have done something else. And then the other element that you talked about, I don't buy either. And I feel like the writers are just being lazy. There's a couple of brothers that are on holiday with their family, and they seem to be a very close-knit family. And they're kind of like got a wild hair up their butts, and they go on this yacht and they go on this big party. Drugs are involved. They get involved in like this threesome, and two of the threesome were brothers, and I just don't buy it. I don't care how stoned you are. You're not gonna make out and do other things with your brother. It's just not gonna happen. So I just feel like I'm gonna use the word lazy again because I can't think of another adjective, but it's not creative. It's not creative. It's not interesting. It's just they're being sensationalists, and it's not interesting. And I want to stop watching it, but the very first episode, somebody gets shot, and I want to know who gets shot and who shoots them.
So you're still hooked for sure.
I am going to try and figure out who gets shot and who shoots them, but I might like fast forward through the show because they kind of lost me too.
I was not impressed with that part either.
Yeah.
But like going back to the women, it also kind of, there's a lot of jealousy playing with the three of them. Yeah. And I just find that to be a little sad. Like that may happen sometimes, but I feel like if you're really a group of core girlfriends, it just makes me kind of sad that that's how you're going to depict these women that are supposed to be your ride or die people for life. Like,
well, I would say to me, that's a writer in their 30s that doesn't know any better. Like that is a ageism problem because women who have been friends forever are not jealous of each other. Like we lift each other up, like true friends, women friends. We've talked about this before. Like we straighten each other's crown.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't give each other a hard time. That doesn't mean we don't make fun of each other. It doesn't mean we don't have fun. It doesn't mean we don't play, but we straighten each other's crowns. We don't go after each other's love interests. We're not jealous of your job. We're not jealous of your
right.
Like we celebrate you.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it. That's somebody who doesn't know any better that's writing that element of the show. And shame on Netflix. That's a no.
Well, I haven't even seen this episode, so you kind of like let the cat out of the
bag.
We're
ruining it for you, so sorry.
I couldn't help myself. I have to talk about it because I was so bothered by it. And Tim was like, Nancy, are you cutting this show? Like once people lose you, they lose you sometimes.
My thought, my only reaction to what you said is, why is writing getting so sexual and like weird? Like, why do we have to go there? Like, what is going on? I don't understand it.
The flip side of this is we are talking about it, and it did get my attention. It got my attention so much that I didn't even want to wait for Kathy to get through the show before I'm talking about this on the podcast. But I just thought it was interesting. And we were talking about women. The three of us were doing the show to kind of have a community and to reach out to a bigger community. Mm-hmm. And it just got me thinking, you know, this isn't what I think about when I think about women and maturing and your core people. And
I don't like how support. They are like off talking to each other with the other one is like sleeping and they're being very secretive. It's weird.
Yeah.
But
those would not be my girls.
Maybe they're not as close as they think they are. It's weird too. I actually saw Jennifer Coolidge was also interviewed because she was the original like Lotus person. And she was saying that her role, which she called weirdo, her weirdo role, she said, has really impacted her dating life. Because now like these European men, these younger men are finding her attractive. And so she's like, yeah, this has really had a positive impact. So I like that because, it kind of tied into our book. These older women think, oh, well, they're older and no one cares about them. And she's having the opposite experience.
Yeah, it does. it does kind of tie into our book and the theme of women and aging. And,
Yeah.
just because you get older, do you lose your, do you, Linda, you went on spring break and you were talking about like, you were with somebody who was 10 plus years younger than you. And you felt like maybe, and I don't want to speak for you, but you said you felt like maybe she got more attention than, you who's a little bit older. And it's like, but you still to me look amazing. And the ageism thing is real, right? Like, I don't know, like, was that weird for you to be with somebody that you're sitting at a bar with or sitting at the pool and people are coming up and buying them drinks and then not giving you the time of day?
First of all, this woman is a goddess, like inside and out. I love her so much, but she definitely got a lot of attention. The rest of us were kind of like ignored. But no, it didn't bother me at all. I mean, I feel like it's always nice if somebody acknowledges, like, you look pretty today, or thank you, or you get like a little nod or a compliment or whatever. But no, I have zero like want for that. Been there, done that. I don't need to do it anymore. But certainly a compliment here and there is always welcome, whatever it is. I don't want it to be like disingenuous. But yeah, this woman, she's a doll, and she got a lot of drinks bought for her at this all-inclusive.
As you're using bunny ears, people can't see it,
Yeah,
but she's
people
like,
can't see it. I'm using air quotes because we were at an all-inclusive, and these guys would be like, can I buy you a drink? She was like, you want to get me one of my free drinks? Okay, sure. There's pool service, there's, everything. So it was just kind of funny, and we all laughed about it, and, she had fun with it. So
it is interesting though, right? Like, Kathy, I don't know how you feel, like you're getting older, but if people do pay you a compliment, like, I'm not looking for that either, but I feel like I look in the mirror and I see my age. I see like more lines, and that's okay. Like, I say they're smile lines, right? But I am definitely not, 35 anymore. And sometimes when somebody says, "Oh, hi," or "You look nice," or you can tell somebody is like, "Oh, hi, ma'am, let me get the door for you." Like, and they're doing it because they noticed you.
Yeah.
It does make me feel good. And does that
Sure.
make me shallow that I'm just like, "Oh, yes, I must look okay," as the kids say. My fit must be okay today, that I still, can do it. Like, what does that say about me, that I'm shallow, that I do sometimes like that attention? Not that I want to act on it, but I don't mind it.
Well, I think it's human nature. I think people like to be complimented. I mean, you don't want someone to say something negative about you. I mean, it's a nice thing to do. And I mean, I actually had a compliment paid to me like a couple of weeks ago when I was in Texas visiting my son at this bar. This guy was like, "Hey," giving me attention, and my son beelighted over and was like, "What is this guy talking to you about?" And he was so, darling, because I thought it was so cute that he stood up for me.
Yeah, that's sweet.
It did make me feel good, even though I was not attracted to this guy. Just that, he thought, at least I was worthy of like talking to.
Yeah, but Peter, did you hear that? She was not attracted to him, so don't worry about it.
No, of course not. But I just thought it was funny. I thought it was more sweet that my son was worried about me, and he came to my rescue.
But don't you also just want to be like, "It's okay, I got it. You don't have to be worried about me. This is not my first rodeo. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Watch me handle it."
Yeah. I mean, the guy wasn't Tom Cruise or anything. It's not.
It's Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is too short for you.
But anyway, compliments are nice. I think no matter who you are.
Compliments are nice. I agree.
Yeah. Well, it kind of ties into also moving into our book club for this month. So we had our book review, and remind me, what was the book called, ladies?
Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn.
Yeah, Killers of a Certain Age, which is about these 4 women that are retired, but they were assassins. And so we brought our mom on she recommended this book. And so we thought we'd take a few minutes and review what we thought. But it was interesting with these 4 women. One of them in particular, as you talk about it, she very much cared about her look. Like she always could turn heads. And now that she was in her 60s, she's like, I don't have that anymore. And she's just like, but I look in the mirror and I'm that doll I was, at 20.
Yeah.
Which I could relate to that. Like I understood that feeling of I'm older, but I still, when I look in the mirror, that's not the reflection I remember, right?
Right.
I mean, how we feel inside and how we look outside sometimes are not always in sync.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the joy of life, is inside your heart and your head. You can always be young.
Right. You have
And
to
act
mentally
young
be
and
tough.
have a young spirit so that our body
Right.
can try and keep up with it.
Yeah.
Battle it out.
All right. Let's bring in our mom to review our book.
Welcome, Renee, avid reader and also our mom. She recommended this book, Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. So we're going to review it. So let's jump in.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's nice to
Good
be asked.
morning.
That's special.
All right, so girls, what do you think? All in all, I thought it was good, and I thought that it was an interesting concept.
So what is the concept? Refresh the readers what the concept is.
So the concept is it's these middle-aged women who have just retired, and they had a very special profession. They were professional assassins, and someone tries to assassinate them because they know where all the bodies are buried, right? So they're a threat. And so I thought that was sort of an interesting idea, that these older women, then they kind of come out of retirement in order to figure out who's trying to kill them, how to stop the infiltration of their old organization and preserve it. And so they had so much knowledge and history with each other. And, we don't often see books that have the heroine as being a 60-plus-year-old woman. So I thought that idea was super interesting, and that they had been friends for so long was very fascinating to me. So that part of it I really enjoyed, and I thought it was a good twist on a typical male-dominated, Sherlock Holmesy kind of book that, we see more than we see the women as the heroine.
Well, I
Go
just
ahead,
thought
Mom.
they're kind of the 007 of the geriatric set.
Yeah,
And there's a moral compass that goes with that. Are they, 007, nobody questions the fact he goes around
killing people
tearing
all the
places,
time. Yeah,
shooting people, blowing them
Right.
up and stuff like that. And these women, that's not a typical pattern for them. How does that play out? There's the moral compass in that? Is it right because in the story, the people trying to kill them are people from their own agency who are
right,
being paid to kill people off the
right,
books, kind of thing, which
right,
is, you know,
right,
so
right.
here they're doing it what they
Right.
think
There's
is
this mercenary element to it too.
right. We're doing
Yeah.
it because it's the right thing to do. They're doing it because they're getting paid for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You
Interesting.
brought up an interesting thing. I didn't even think about the 007 connection and thinking about this book with ageism and women. Like 007, he was doing it in his 60s and nobody thought a thing of it. So it's interesting that that was a note for us of, oh, this is amazing. They're in their 60s and they're women, but we don't have that same reaction when we're looking at 007.
Well,
Well,
they had been put out to pasture. I mean, they had been put into retirement. 007 doesn't really get put into retirement. So I think that
well,
is maybe a
Right.
little bit of a difference,
they
but
were offered
yeah,
retirement. That was their
yeah,
retirement party was the cruise. So they
Right.
were
On the
just going
cruise.
into retirement. Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway,
I mean, Mom, I have a question for you. I know you recommended this book, and I think the potential of it is amazing. What I wanted to know from actually everybody was I didn't really feel like I got to know them individually. Like, I didn't really care about them individually
there
and
were
have anything. I didn't feel like I knew them. It was just kind of the story that they were kind of always running from problem to problem, and they were together as a pod and they were making sure nothing happened to each other. But I didn't really feel like I had a dog in the fight with these women.
Well, they didn't. I agree. She should have developed their character. She had a lot of characters, but I wish that the women would have been developed more alike. One of them was uh, Jewish and had suffered through the war. Somebody had lost family in Vietnam, and the ramifications of the reasons that they felt they were compelled to pursue this profession wasn't really clearly laid out. So that is a flaw. And I think there are just
You
too
know,
many characters.
the one thing I question too is that one character, Mary Alice. You know, she was married to her wife, Akiko, and
Yeah.
that her wife didn't know she was an assassin. I mean, how can you be married to someone and not know like what they're
What they
doing?
do for a living. Yeah.
Well, it
I
depends on
mean,
what
that
they do,
seems
what she does.
impossible.
Well, maybe. I
I
mean,
think
you don't.
spies do it all the time. Don't you know all the spies you know? Like they'll tell you, like they're the
Yeah.
spy.
But you would know something's up. Like, oh,
No,
that's
it would depend on what she did. If she was a traveler, I have a job that requires me to be gone Monday to Friday, or I have special. I'm a troubleshooter for an IT company, and they're going to send me to Barcelona next
Right.
week, and I'll be gone.
And in theory, you have trust with your partner. So if they're just gone from Monday through Friday and you're having a good life outside of that, like, I don't know, she didn't give her any reason to not trust her.
And
So
that
I thought that was believable,
and that goes back,
100%.
and that goes back to they thought they were doing it for the right reasons. There was no guilt associated until later in
yeah,
the story. There
Yeah.
was
right.
no
Because
guilt associated in their career because they were killing Nazis and they were
right,
doing
war criminals. Right.
war criminals and things like that. So there's no remorse. So the person's not feeling guilty about it when they come home. It's just
Yeah.
I saw her interviewed, the author, Deanna
oh, okay.
Rayborn, and during the interview, she was like, just like, how does she come up with her topics that she writes about? And she says that a lot of times it happens just innocently, like she's at her kids' assembly at school and she'll like have the program and then she starts to write down like how to kill people and like we'll write it down on the piece of paper and she's like in the
Yeah.
audience, in the
Yeah.
auditorium. And then she said sometimes she actually left the program, there, and then people would find it. Like, can you imagine?
Oh
Like
no.
what someone would think?
Bonnie must die. She dies by a
I know.
Yeah.
knife wound.
Yeah.
How to
I
poison someone,
Yeah, I mean, they poisoned somebody in the book, like by submerging them in their spa treatment, and their body absorbed the poison or something. I thought that
Yeah.
was super clever.
Yeah.
There's a new TV show out. It's got Keira Knightley in it. It's called White Doves, and it's kind of about this too, where she is a spy, but nobody knows she's a spy.
Oh,
And she has this whole family, and so it's interesting. You should check it out. I think it's on Netflix. White Doves.
There's also
Like,
another PBS story. I'm old, so these things sort of appeal to me. It's called the Marlowe Murder Club.
oh yeah, I've seen that. It's good.
It's
Yeah,
good. It is good.
yeah,
And it's and one woman who decides she thinks her neighbor has been murdered, but nobody pays any attention to her. And so
right.
she solicits an unhappy minister's wife who's underappreciated, undervalued, and a dog walker who takes over a pet of a man who she liked, who was died or was killed. And they form
Yeah.
this really bizarre alliance. So that's
oh,
a maybe a watch
So,
too.
Mom, so this book that we read, would you give it a thumbs up, sideways, or thumbs down?
I thought it was good. I thought it was an easy read for
Yeah.
me. I just it was kind of like I could go on holiday. And I actually think I read it on holiday, so I could pick it up and put it down. And I thought some of it was interesting. I don't know, like you said, I don't know that I would read it again, but I thought it was good. So
you
Thumbs
know,
up.
thumbs up.
Thumbs up, Kathy. Thumbs up. Sideways.
I'm
Thumbs
like
down.
a middle up.
I'm going to say sideways. That was not glowing. Sideways. Linda, thumbs up, sideways, down.
I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Yeah.
All right, thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm going to do sideways. So we're split.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're split.
So two thumbs up, two sideways. People should check it out. There's a sequel coming. Do you guys know this though?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Kills well with others.
Yep. Yeah, the same cast of characters.
Well, they've gone on to lead kind of nice lives. I don't know that I would reactivate.
Mom, thanks so much for being on. We really appreciate it. You always have good insights, and we can't wait for you to come on next time. Okay, what's for dinner?
So we're going to do a little different take on what's for dinner this week. We decided in honor of our book. So part of our book took place in New Orleans, and one of the things the ladies ate were beignets. So I actually got a recipe and I made the beignets last night, and then I refrigerated them and made them this morning. And they puffed up beautifully and they were delicious.
I love a
So I was
beignet.
very happy, and my children were also very happy because they were like, "What are
Yeah.
you making?" It all intrigued
Smells
everybody in my
delicious.
house. Yeah.
I love beignets,
I
and
do
I've
too.
never made one. So I'm going to actually use this recipe, and I'm going to see if I can do it because it
Yeah.
sounds delicious.
You know, I think the one thing I learned from making them is they are a little sticky, so you have to really flour the countertop because they'll stick everywhere. And then when you cook them, you can't get the oil too hot because you'll burn them. But you also have to cook them enough that the middle's
They're not too doughy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a fine line, so you have to really pay attention.
Frying is not my forte, but I have made it before, and I agree. Those are good tips.
I know. I
I'll
don't love
try it
frying
too.
either. I'm always afraid. I don't like the splash, but I'm gonna give it a try
let's all give it a
see how it
try.
turns out.
I like
So I'll
it.
report. I'll report maybe next week of how I do, and hopefully
Thanks,
I don't burn
Kathy.
down. Hopefully I
Yep.
don't burn down the kitchen.
We want to thank you for listening to our podcast and letting us sisters jump into your day. Please make sure to follow, rate, and review us. Please also send us requests for topics that you would like to discuss. So to our website, 3lilfishes.com. So have a wonderful weekend. Sisters out.